Hello, welcome and greetings, fabulous Whānau family and friends. Yes, welcome to yet another instalment of the Stitchmaker's Guide to the Multiverse. I'm Kizka Bazaar. Okay, so last week we featured Kizka, the climate change clown, and I mentioned at the end of that video about don't vote for the right wing. And I thought this week I would expand upon the right wing type thing because I do think a little bit about politics and psychology and that sort of thing. I must tell you that I am not trained in any way. All I've done is live life and looked and studied and questioned and just made notes about things that I go like, so why does that happen? Why does that happen? I've always questioned things. So this week I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I've written down about the right wing. I think that the right wing are often born into rich, entitled bloodlines, but not exclusively. Because having a right-wing orientated modus operandi type way of life is a personality trait. Maybe. Something terrible in their character, like the serpent in the Garden of Eden mated with a human and begat the original right-wingers. Yes? No? Maybe? Consideration? Perhaps they were born with only one wing from their serpent parent because they were, after all, a human-serpent hybrid. The one wing grew from the right-hand side. On the flip side of that coin is the thought that the left-wing people were the hybrid of a constructive, empathic, creative, loving mythological creature and a human, and they were born with one wing sprouting from the left-hand side. Just imagine if both right wing and left wing could learn to fly together, what wonderful progress in flight they might achieve. Back to the right wing. ... I need to understand why they do what they do. I need to understand the drivers behind the character of to understand in some way why they think what they're doing is achieving for all in a positive way. Do right-wing politicians look at the rest of humanity and think, right, these policies are really going to help people. These policies are going to promote growth and well-being amongst all of the population and the environment. So, because the way I see it, the right wing don't seem to create positive outcomes for all, i.e. people and flora and fauna, the environment, and often what they do causes harm to the people, flora, fauna, and the environment. Have you noticed that? Have you noticed that there is a difference between right wing and left wing? Just a little aside, I used to work with a lovely lady when I was cleaning, the both of us cleaning together. Marvellous, marvellous, heart-filled, caring person. And when it was time to do our voting in Aotearoa, New Zealand here, and I said to her, I asked her, who are you going to vote for this year? Any ideas? And she said, no, I'm not going to vote for anyone because they're all the same and there's nothing for me in what they do for me. But I think that there is a difference between right-wing and left-wing leaning politicians, albeit they do all come from, or they usually do come from, that entitled strata of society who have been through tertiary higher education, usually have gone to slightly better schools than what us labouring class, working class type people go to. The opportunities for leadership training are usually more prevalent at the schools that they go to rather than our schools. I mean, you remember there was always the head boy and head girl in a high school. And I always thought, oh, why can't I have a go at that? I didn't realise that there was differences between, what strata of society that you came from, because Aotearoa New Zealand was always touted as being free of, what do you call it? Free of that strataization of, like plebeians and patricians, the ruling classes and middle classes and working classes, labouring classes, beneficiary class. This is sort of like my thoughts that sort of came from that conversation quite a few years ago. It's like, is there a difference between right-wing and left-wing politicians? Have you ever noticed, have you ever looked at other countries around the world, and the differences as what happens to, like, indigenous people, people that have always dwelt in that country before Europeans, wherever they came from in Europe, came into the country and started terraforming it to their own European standards and desires. Because I think that right-wing policies were really, really prevalent in the Industrial Revolution time, when people were going around and populating countries with their own people and abusing native peoples, the peoples that had always lived there, because their way of life was like was opposite to the native people's way of life. And really, there's no reason why we should still live that way today, because I would say we live in enlightened times. But when you see the news, if you watch Al Jazeera, that's an excellent source of news of what's going on around the world, from the grassroots. I mean, it might be like the middle class, aristocracy class that present Al Jazeera, but they get into the nitty gritty. Go those guys, eh? Thumbs up. Because to be informed is to have knowledge, and knowledge is good. So, the harms that the right wings cause, do you recognise a right wing politician or policy? Because they lack the wings sprouting from the right hand side as a clear visual clue. But check out what they say and how they say it. Especially right-wing politician people. They speak with honey dripping from their forked tongues. That's what they've inherited and bred true from their serpent parent. The half-truths and lies spilling from the forked tongue. They say really nice things, but it doesn't really come to fruition, or if it does, it's in a seriously twisted way. Note to self, don't ever get hypnotized or believe in the sweet, sweet lies, in the beautiful words of the right-wing politician. To put it bluntly, I think that the right-wing are assholes. Yes. Narcissistic tendencies, definitely. Yes, narcissistic tendencies. If you don't fit in with their scheme of things, then you are not a viable person in their world. And we all know narcissists in our lives, don't we? Those people who try and pull us down and put us down, and when you've been talking to a narcissist, you usually feel sort of dirty, and you feel like you've been reduced to a little tiny speck of dust. I define, here we go, yeah. I define an asshole personality and character as someone who consciously plans and executes, lol, an action, physical, verbal, or social policy which causes harm to either people or other animals or the environment. Harm is like injury, death, or obliteration. Injury can be physical or psychological or emotional or spiritual. Don't forget, if your spirituality is being crushed by someone else, then get them out of your lives. You don't need them. No, because you, with your own special spiritual beliefs, are worthwhile having your beliefs. Definitely. Well, take the Taliban. I think they're right wing because they abuse women with their morality laws that they enforce via their religion and violence, or the threat of violence. I don't know why they think that they are the best people to lead their country. They're destroying their country with their religious morality laws. And how is their economy running? Are their people happy and content? Are they living the best lives they can? You might say, but that's their culture. True enough, living with assholes as a nation's leaders is still living with an abusive asshole, though. Like Hitler and the Nazis, they were right-wing politicians who abused and killed Jews, the Roma, the Sinti, Negro, Slavic, disabled, mentally and physically people that were disabled, gender diverse people, political opponents, and other religious beliefs. That includes the Christians. They also abused and targeted the asocial and work shy. Those of us in New Zealand will recognise that term, work shy. It has been used by the National Party, which included beggars, alcoholics, drug addicts, prostitutes, and pacifists. Even the Freemasons were attacked, arrested and imprisoned in concentration camps as political prisoners. Also persecuted were the creatives, the painters and the musicians. The Nazis are the extreme right-wing illustration on this planet, and they are someone that we can learn from. It's like, if you want to change something in your life, and you have to look hard and long and honestly at yourself and go, I don't like that trait in myself. Can I change it? And yes, you can. Yes, you can. You can. You can be the most beautiful and wonderful and wondrous and creative and spiritual and heartfelt person that you can be, valuing yourself. But with the Nazis, with right-wing politicians, you will not have that freedom. Literally. Let's put it this way. The National Party in the early 1990s, they cut benefits drastically, which caused a lot of problems for people. You got to remember that not all people who are on benefits are work shy. And even if a person is work shy, isn't it their right to be? And where are the life coaches for us lower classes? The people that can help to give us guidance and encouragement, help us to be the most wonderful people that we can be if we've lost our way. Because sometimes we do lose our way in the midst of work and raising children and generally just trying to sort of make ends meet. Anyway, I'm rabbiting on here, sorry about that. But the National Party formed on the 13th and 14th of May 1936 which was this time when the right-wing politics in Europe were being formed and formulated and rising in Europe, 1936. They were formed out of the United and Reform parties of New Zealand, which I haven't actually looked up anything about at the moment, but feel free to Google the United and Reform parties and see where they came from. Honestly, if you want to make a positive difference in this world, then do not vote for right-wing politicians. See through their honeyed lies, and when you vote, vote for the good of everyone, you know, like the environment, because right-wingers often do things business ways that harm the environment because, you know, like they want to earn money, which is fair enough, you know, we've all got to live. But look at the way, you know, and where they come from, you know, just look at what they say and how they say it. Don't be sucked in by lies. Hey, I've been Kizka Bazaar, and I probably will be again sometime. So thank you so much for watching and listening, and all the best to you, and take care. Aroha to you. All the best. See you. Bye. Oh, Tuna, come on. You can do it. Poor old phone. Oh, yeah, yeah. Maybe my thumb's a bit dry and cold. Trying to think. Is it warmer? No. No. Here we go. Yes, no. Maybe.